Well, here we are, guys. It is Thursday, So.Cal Smackdown. Another lovely day in Southern California. I know my friend Dante up there in Long Beach is having a wonderful, beautiful, sunny day. It's coming right through the back of the patio. We've got Joe Madden, YYC. She's enjoying the cold weather. I know it's snowing. It's snowing up there. But before we get to Dante and Joe, I want to sit there and let everybody know that So.Cal Smackdown, 4:30 to 6 p.m. every Thursday, Pacific Standard Time. I have to make sure I say that. People sometimes get confused with the change of time that's going to be coming up soon. Powered by Stables Media, myself, the great Dante Powell, the lovely Joe Madden. Today we got a special guest, guys, ex-NFL alumni. A lot of people know him. Chuck Foreman, man, he was there, so I can't wait to talk to him. I talked to him a little bit on the phone, but I can't wait to ask some questions, have the people. But let's get right to it, guys. Football, Dante, what do you think?
Oh man, I kind of crapped on some of the games, but no blowouts really. Some of the games were pretty interesting. I like that Buccaneers Saints game. They call it the Battle of the Old Timers. I thought that was really entertaining. I think we all went with the right pick on that. We have another battle, the old timers coming up, and that's going to be interesting to talk about.
I agree with you. It was sad the way Breeze kind of went out with that, having those turnovers, but hell of a guy. I don't even know. Did he, Joe, and you might know this, I haven't seen that he officially retired. I know our man out here from San Diego, Phil Rivers, and I don't know if you noticed his number 17, and he was in the league for 17 years.
I did notice that.
Is that unbelievable?
Yeah, that is. It was a hard day the other day seeing him retire. I was really hoping to watch him play again. That last 5 minutes of that Colts game, I was tearing up, just like I did with Gates when I knew it was his end. Hard to see those players go that you just love to watch playing. So it's a hard one.
Dante, what is it I know playing ball, obviously getting there is extremely hard in any sport, baseball, football, soccer, whatever it may be. I mean, they say it's the 1%ers per se of getting that. But retiring on your own term, and you've known a lot of people in baseball, football. Is that something, the best way of doing it, knowing that it's time to hang up the cleats, even though you probably have the drive inside you to go for another year or 2 years?
Well, yeah, let's kind of go back to the facts and, kind of correct you, because it's kind of like when you talk to a doctor who has went through, law school or whatever, and he's gotten his degree at a high level, and he has his PhD. Well, you're going to call him doctor, and that's how he's going to introduce himself. It's kind of the same way for guys who've made it to the major leagues, or to the NFL, or to whatever big major sport. Just because there's a different brotherhood, different lingo, different understanding, especially what it took to get there. And then, there's another level to it. Guys, like you said, that have played maybe in one organization for years, or, they've retired on their own accord, winning a Super Bowl. That's just another level in itself as well. So, all of it all, it's a dream come true to make it to the highest level of any sports pinnacle. But to go ahead and graduate and retire, after 15, 20 years of playing maybe with one or two teams, that's just a dream.
I would imagine. I mean, especially, I know Philip probably would have wanted to retire as a Charger. And Joe, we talked about this in previous shows with Dante and other guests, is that, did the Chargers really, I don't want to sound arrogant, but, the Spanos family was down here for so long in San Diego, and they really put a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths by moving the team up to LA. But then letting Philip go, seeing how far actually Philip went and carried a team,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything about the quarterback that we have now because he's an awesome stud. I think he's going to do great, and he showed the potential. But do you think they should have gave him that one last chance, that last year, knowing that this probably would have been a rebuilding year anyways, and let him stay and possibly maybe have a chance to go to the playoffs?
That's a hard one because for myself as a fan, I would have loved to have seen him stay. For himself, I think he did fantastic as a Colt, and I think that's where he needed to be. I don't think he deserved another really crappy year going 6 and something, right? And for him, I think it was the best move for him to have a strong offensive line, for him to have all that. He could have got hurt playing with the Chargers another year. We built better that offensive line now with Herbert in there, and I'm hoping for a lot, but the ownership really needs to step up and make their fans happier because I think all the problems come from the ownership. Lynn going and everything, it's not his fault. I blame it on ownership.
I want to send out some shout outs here. We got people listening and watching on Stables Media on our Facebook page, streaming live across the Facebook on Stables Media, my personal Facebook, and the YouTube channel, Stables Media Network. Special shout out to a good friend of ours, David Andrews. He lost his mother this week. We love you, man, and our hearts and praise go out to you. Thank you so much for what you do for the network, for my kids, my family, throughout the whole network. Thank you. Lisa, thank you. We appreciate it. He says, hi, Joe. I'm going to put these comments out here. That way you guys know that I'm not just making them up. Says, hi, Joe, Dante, and Tony, how are you? And then we got, you know what, Dante, and this gentleman here, I've been in touch with a couple times through Facebook, named Charles Randolph. He's the one that I sent you the old time music. And we're going to try to get him on our show and possibly on a network. He is an unbelievable DJ, and he's got some great, great music out there. So, again, thank you, Charles, for listening and watching. David Andrews, again, sends out hello, Joe, Dante, and Chuck will be on soon. He loves you guys. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. So, let's get back to football weekend. We made the picks. We kind of got some right, some wrong. I think the Rams were the ones that we knew all about that was kind of going to sit there and go bye-bye. But what do you think, Dante, this week? Green Bay and Tampa. We got two old school quarterbacks. And then I want to bring a segue into that after we talk about that for the MVP of the league. Possibly all four of these guys can actually be quarterbacks, be the MVP of the league. So let's start with you, Dante. This week, Green Bay playing Tampa. What do you think?
They play in Green Bay.
Exactly.
So that's the end.
Hey, look, you have to understand that plays a major factor. It plays the golden boy against the, AB golden boy, one that you don't really hear about as far as his skills wise, but he is unbelievable. So I think that going through Lambeau Field, this weekend is going to be really tough. And I believe it's the first time a playoff has gone through Lambeau to go to the Super Bowl. So that's going to be really special too. Tom Brady, I know he's got a lot of weapons with Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, and I think they got one more, can't come to mind. But, they're just going to have to go out there and play football. They're going to go out there and, as a collective team, stick to their game plan. One good thing is that the stadium won't be packed, to its full tilt. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of fans out there, outside the stadium. They'll probably close down the whole city like they normally do. So for this week, man, sorry, Tom, man. I love you to death, man, but I'm gonna have to go with Green Bay.
Let me go to Joe now. Joe, we talked about this on previous shows. We talked about Green Bay. Obviously, our buddy Gallo loves Green Bay. He's going to Vegas and playing Green Bay all the way. But the spread, I think, is only 2.5, 3.
Exactly.
And they are allowing 8,000 fans, but they have to be part of the season ticket holders. They can't just be normal fans. So there's conditions. So what do you think there? I mean, do you think that Brady has a chance, or do you think it's just Green Bay's year?
Well, it's every given Sunday, any day that you play. So there is a chance for Brady. There is a huge chance for Tampa. But going into Green Bay, I think it's absolutely hard for him to win there. Just like it's hard for Brady to win in Miami. He has these different cities that it is harder for him to get that win. This game, though, I'm looking at it being tight. I don't know if I would take the Saints minus the points. I would play the Saints money line in this one. I think sorry, not even the Saints. I'm talking Green Bay. I would take Green Bay money line on this game instead of taking the points because I think it's going to be that tight of a game. And I'm looking, it's going to be cold, but both these quarterbacks can put up some good numbers. So it's going to be a hard one.
Well, let's a couple of more shout outs here. We got Cam. We got Cam saying that's my boy, Green Bay. I'm going to go with consensus on this. I think Green Bay is destined to win. I think, like Dante had said, they haven't hosted a game in this caliber, and I know it would be unbelievable if you can have 60,000 fans there. But the weather's a factor. It is going to be possibly snowing. And then you know what? Brady didn't really look, in my eyes, last game. If his defense comes through and it really puts pressure on Green Bay, then he might have a chance. But you know what? His offense wasn't there like everybody says it was. So I'm going to take Green Bay along with you guys. Hopefully, for the second match, Dante, now we got the second match. We got KC, and we got my team, the Buffalo Bills, the Mafia Bills. What do you think, D?
This is really going to be interesting, too, because, both teams are really they understand playing under the conditions of cold weather. Buffalo understands, kind of like an isolated team, just kind of like Green Bay, smaller city, but just has an enormous fan base. Same thing with Kansas City. So they're used to playing in those types of environments. They both got weapons. I think, Patrick Mahomes, after the injury, coming off the concussion protocol, that's what's going to be telling. Is he going to come off ready to play, or is he going to have some adverse effects from his injuries? So, we'll see. But with that being said, I'm going to have to go with Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to pick it up. I think he's going to step it up, and I think they're going to win this game. If you ask me tomorrow, after I look at some more things, I may change my mind. But as far as right now, I got Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City.
All right, so you got KC, Patrick Mahomes in KC. Joe, what do you think?
I'm gonna go against you, Dante. I really see Buffalo coming out strong in this one. I think it's gonna be a fantastic game. I think Mahomes is gonna play incredible. I think he's gonna have a fantastic game. I don't think he's gonna come out with any issues. I think the line right now, if you like Buffalo, get on it right now, because once it's announced that he has passed all the concussion protocols, this line is going to skyrocket. The books are being safe right now, just making sure. So you guys take Buffalo. Buffalo's got this game.
And I'm gonna chime in here on my little because I've said Buffalo from day one. I think I don't want to see anybody ever get hurt, and I hope Mahomes does play. I didn't like the idea that they thought about postponing the game so they could sit there, because I think that takes the spirit of competitiveness out of football or any game per se, because someone's hurt, let's wait a week. I don't believe in that. That's part of sports. That's part of life. But I think the Bills are destined. I think they may sit there and have it this year, going all the way. So that's my pick all the way. Going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. So now we've got a couple more. Yeah, we got David Andrews says he loves the Bills also. We're going to put him out there. He likes the Bills. We've got. I'm sorry, I can barely see my eyes. I got to put it's E.L. Pichette. He says yes. He agrees with that. And then we got Cam that says Joe, go Joe. That a girl Joe. There we go. Joe's got some fans out there. Dante, we got to start getting fans too. We have them, Dante. They're
Hey
just quiet.
man, I'm playing t-ball in Joe's world in that game. She can pick them.
Yeah, I haven't even got to play yet. Dude, to play kid to swing the bat at the tee.
Come on, man. She's a pro.
She is. She's on fire. We'll talk about a little bit about hockey after, but again, guys, Chuck Foreman will be joining us here soon, so stay tuned. I can't wait to have him on. This week we've got McGregor fighting UFC. Always a big turnout when I had my sports bars. He was. I still think he made UFC. I know there's a lot of people said Ronda and a lot of other big names, but this guy knows how to market. He knows how to put the game out there. Joe, we're gonna go to you, and then we'll go to Dante on this. What do you think this weekend? You think he'll win?
I think he wins it, and then I think he retires.
You think so?
Yeah, that's my prediction. He's gonna come out guns a firing, and then he's gonna give a retirement speech. So that's what I see happening. I don't see him sticking around that much longer in the UFC at all.
See, I'm going to put my 2 cents on that. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's one of these guys that knows the marketing tool of anticipation, and
That's a good one.
He may win or lose, which I think he'll win. But he knows that if he waits a year, 6 months, even a year and a half, that the dollar signs start going up higher and higher and higher. Kind of another Mayweather. Dante, what do you think of this?
Man, I think they've learned a lot from marketing blueprint from, Money Mayweather and their team. I think Conor McGregor, he's had some tough times over the past couple of years, kind of personally, and I think he's played it to his advantage. I think he's, one of the best in the world. I love Conor. I love how he fights. I love the marketing schemes, even the clownsmanship, the confidence. He brings a whole new, not even a whole new flair. He was really this, dominant and reason part of why, the martial arts, mixed martial arts fighting is where it is today. He's a major part of that. So it's going to be really fun to watch him. And I think it's Poirier. I can't pronounce his last name.
Poirier,
yeah, Poirier, that's going to be an excellent match. It's not going to be something that I don't think is going to be a first round bender. I think it's going to be a real thriller. I do think Conor's going to win it. Retiring, I don't know about that. I think he's got a few more fights because there's some big paydays coming, but he'll be more in control of that. And if it doesn't happen in the arena of the, MMC or, he'll be able to do that outside the ring of, either, wrestling or some type of circus like he did with Mayweather, but he'll make money.
Well, do you agree with me though on the fact that he truly is? And I mean, Dante, you're in marketing, sales. You got to sell yourself if you want to make money in life. I mean, it's just like when I have my restaurant. You can't sit there and open the door and say, "Hey, here I am, come in." He is a master of marketing. He is a master of getting to what he wants. And I think UFC knows that. Does it hurt him right now with the fact that he's going to be coming and fighting this fight, which is a pretty big fight for him, that they're not going to have the crowds and the big draws with the bars and all that? Or you think that he's going to – see, that's why I don't think he's going to retire, because I think there's more money in the future. What do you think, Dante?
No, I don't. These guys are just consummate professionals, and I mean, they're artists of what they do. They don't need a crowd to go out there and get in that arena, that squared circle, and or that octagon, whatever it's called, and fight. These guys are warriors, and if they wanted to go inside of a barnyard somewhere, just them two and put it together, because they're warriors. That's what they would do, So I don't think it's going to bother either of them. It might even help the fight, just like it's helped some of the boxing matches as well. Guys can concentrate and kind of get in their zones. So that's kind of makes it evenly matched as far as the entertainment and hype and getting the crowd advantage.
And that has worked against some of them. Do you guys remember? I think it was the Conor McGregor fight where his coaches were overwhelmingly yelling at him. Was it his fight? No, it was Cowboy Cerrone. Do you remember that fight where they were yelling and yelling and yelling at him instructions? And he ended up losing because his coaches outpaced him in that fight.
Yeah. You know what? Those are certain situations that are, I think that are, an isolated situation, because when you're out there, your life is on the line, for real. Like you get to that, it ain't like, you get out there dancing, you dancing with cats that want to crush your face. You know what I mean? Because there's money on the line, there's marketing ability on the line, and there's families on the line. You know what I mean? So these guys ain't playing. And just one good blow, if you're not in there, trained fully and ready to fight, that could be the last of you ever fight. So, I really take my hat off to what these guys do. I really respect the fighting arena and the fighting world. And, it's going to be a great fight.
So now I've got a question for both of you. I want to know, what do you think with this fight? Do you think it's going to go the 5 rounds and come down to decision, or do you think it could be a knockout fight?
Oh, man, it could easily be a knockout fight with these two. They both got power in both hands. Yeah. They're both skillful, especially on the ground and up. So, it can go either way. It can go 5 rounds, or, it can go where one person is going to be left standing, within 30 seconds.
Yeah, and for me, I want it to go to a knockout, a technical knockout, whatever it is. I hate leaving it in these judges' hands, because there's been case after case since we've been in this COVID situation where it's been left in the judges' hands. And you know what? I think fighters have been ripped off. I'm trying to think of the names off the top of my head. There was a couple of situations where there is no way, no one thought that other fighter should have won. It should have gone the other way. So, Tony, what do you think on that?
Well, I think I agree with what we said about the fact that sometimes when it goes to a decision and it gets to referees or, the quote unquote decision makers, sometimes it comes down to the dollar sign. They know if they make it a draw, they're going to get more in it for the next round. Personally, I think McGregor's going to sit there and take this fight within the first 2 rounds. If it goes long, he's not one of these guys that'll last, 3, 4, 5 rounds. He's not one of those guys. He likes to take the knockout. That being said, I don't want to keep this gentleman on our green room. This gentleman has reached out to me. I've talked to him. It's an honor. I want to bring him on right away. The great Chuck Foreman. Let me put him on here. There he is. Chuck, how are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right, good. Excuse my mask, but I just had some work on my front, so I gotta keep it on for now.
No worry. Hey, Chuck. First of all, I want to sit there and, from the team, myself, Joe Madden, Dante Powell, and everybody from Stables Media, thank you for coming on. It is a pleasure. You know what? Not many people, in the sense of what you do and the honor that you bestow on us. So thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I'm glad we got in touch, and it's a good thing.
Well, I'm going to start firing off the questions, Joe, because you know me, and then we'll take it around the board. Chuck, okay. You're an all-time great, man. I don't have to sit there and tell you that. You know it. It's very simple. Offensive Rookie of the Year, 5-time Pro Bowl, 2-time TD touchdown leader, the whole deal. Why is it that you think that you're not in the Hall of Fame? Because you have the numbers, you are worthy, and I'm telling you right now, if there's a petition out there, people need to keep signing it and getting you to the Hall of Fame. So I know I'm throwing you a question out there, but I want to hear it. So we got a lot of listeners, so fire away, Chuck.
I have no clue as to why I'm not. I know every day there's not a day that goes by that people don't ask me, hey, when I'm signing something, they say, can you put HOF on there? I'm saying I'm not in there. And they're really, everybody thinks I am. But why I'm not, I have no clue as how they pick and choose the Hall of Fame. But I think from my perspective, when I came into the league and with our offense, back in those days, it was run dominated offense, and everybody judged you by how many yards you had, which I had a lot of yards for sure, especially being a fullback. I played fullback when I played in the league. And what we did is Jerry Burns is utilized my skill set, which is runner as receiver. And when they look at me and they look at my I guess they only look at one facet of my game, and that's just the running part, but they don't look at the other part, which made me, which separated me from everybody else. So I kind of jumped off that ship a little bit ago. I'm not gonna, I have nothing to do with it. I just know I belong there, no doubt about it, but I have no choice in the matter. But the way I look at it is like I've been blessed with a great life. Got a good one, and I ain't complaining one bit. But
God bless you.
I'm certainly not shedding any tears for it. Do you believe that?
Go fire away.
Well, I love it. I know you absolutely belong there. I've heard it's a little bit political too with the Hall of Fame. Is that something that you believe as well?
Yeah, I believe it's. I've heard a lot of stories about guys getting in and guys not getting in, reasons why they're not. But to be quite honest with you, I don't have time to play that game. You do what you do the best you can do, and then you have all these people out there that are judging you. And the only thing I know is when our opposition game playing the Vikings, they were game planning for me to shut me down, and the ones that did, sometimes they won.
I love that. So you say they had a gameplay against you. Who did you not like going up against? Fourth and goal or fourth down, and you were getting the ball. Who were you not wanting to see on the other side of that?
Well, let's put it to you this way. I remember when I was a rookie and they had Dick Butkus was in there, and he had a knee injury, and he was only moving around like, I don't know, maybe half speed or something. I don't know. But I thought I could just go in there and jump into him and jump out. And that was a big mistake because it did hurt a little bit. And so anytime you went up against guys, like, you got to remember, when we look at football, I never look at football like that term they use as the GOAT. I don't use that term with anybody. I'd say you're greatest of your era, because the game changes, the guidelines change, the rules change. Like, for instance, when I first got in the league, it was still a league whereas if you ran out of bounds, or if you went down, or if a quarterback slid or something like that, they would think you were like crazy for doing something like that. Of course, now, guys slide. They don't get the pressure on them. If you touch them, if you do anything, cornerbacks, when I played against the Mel Bunts of the, let's say, Lim Barneys and people like that, I was like a rookie when I came in, and those guys that out there, but see, they could bump you all the way downfield until the ball was thrown. And even at that, when I played, receivers couldn't run free like they do now. So of course you're supposed to catch 100 passes or more a year. But in those days, if you caught 50 passes, you had a great year. So I'm not taking anything away from the talent level, no question about it. But, don't bring those numbers to me and tell me, look at this guy's numbers, he's better than this guy. Hey, wait a minute. It was a different game then. So I look at guys in different eras. I give them a 10-year window, and that's how I judge them. Because I remember once I looked at, there was a picture, I think I may have mentioned it to you, this football player's name was Y.A. Tittle, and he was on his knees. I forgot who the New York Giants had just finished playing, and that was even before me. But he was on his knees, and he he was beat up, blood coming all down his face and everything. Well, you see, that was the way a quarterback would look when those, guys like the Purple People Eaters or the Fearsome Foursome or all the other guys that were great defensive units in those times. That's the way a quarterback would look, And so I have a hard time. I'm not, like I said, I've never taken anything away from talent or production or success, nothing like that. But I think it would be a little different if you had to play under those rules and guidelines.
Hey, Chuck, Dante Powell, how you doing, man?
Good, good.
Hey, it's funny. Us kind of like young timers, we have idols. We have really idols in your age, bracket.
Mhm.
And there's a guy named Frank Russell that I played, Pop Warner football, and he wore number 44. He was our fullback,
Right.
much homage to that. And another guy that I looked up to in your era was a monster himself, was Jack Tatum.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you. See, now when Jack came at you, well, needless to say, you knew what was going to happen. Jack would knock you out. And like I said, that's the difference in the game. These guys. I watched games. I'm like, wow, they call these, with it helmet contact and stuff like that. But how are you supposed to change in the middle of a tackle and the guy moves a certain way, a guy moves this way, and you accidentally hit him on the side of the head, and you can see um, vividly that they're trying to hit him with their shoulder, but the guy moves, and then he gets, he gets the call to get, out of the game, and it's just, I think they need some guidelines like that and some rule changes, but there's got to be a different way to make that judgment call.
Hey Chuck, do you think that technology has gotten? I mean, obviously technology is good in a way because
Yeah.
it saved a lot of concussions, it saved a lot of injuries. But do you think technology has gotten too advanced for the game? For now, it's like, hey, we don't want this person to get hurt. You got to do this, you got to do that. You think that's the main factor of it?
I think technology has a lot to do with it, but I think the money has more to do with it. They got
Money
to
runs
sell
the world.
they got to sell the tickets and they got to have those guys there. They've got to have all that. But I'm glad that they did make some changes. Don't misunderstand me because I think the game is still a great game. But like I said before on several occasions, don't compare the game back then to the game they have now, which I think is a safer game and everything. And then, you buy into it. That's fine. The athletes are great. The players, do a great job, but you can't, in my estimation, compare the two.
I agree with you. Now, I'm going to throw this question out because I know you. We were talking about this earlier about marketing and all that. You're a master marketer. You know how to sit there and sell your name, the brand. And we talked about that in football. We talked about with Conor McGregor. How was that for you in your day? Because it's different. The numbers back then are nothing compared to the numbers today.
No, no, they aren't. And that was just you got to remember, it was a run dominant game back then. For instance, 1,000 yards. That was if you got to 1,000 yards, you were doing great. And now they get 1,500, they get close. Well, some guys get 2,000. The offensive linemen, if you look at them if you look at every play on the offensive line now, they hold every play.
Mm-hmm.
They only call the ones that are real visible. And so I'm not taking any, like I said, I'm not trying to take away anything from the game or the players or the talent or anything like that. But, throw the word GOAT out. You could be the greatest of your time, I guess. But to say the greatest of all time, I personally have an issue with that.
I think I have to tend to agree with that too, because each era probably has different,
Right.
like you said, has different ways of doing that. Let me send out some shout outs here. We've got Vinny G. He says the Pittsburgh days when you guys were playing. I guess when back then made a big difference. We've got David Andrews wants to know a question here. He brought out said he would like to know what was it like playing for Bud Grant, Chuck.
Well, Bud was kind of a simple player, a simple coach, let's say. We didn't practice long. I think we practiced about an hour and a half every day. We had a very veteran team, especially when I got here. Most of the guys that I played with already had 10 years in the league. And he didn't tolerate mistakes. He had very few rules. And if you break one, he'd let you know and do what he had to do. But with the veteran leadership we had, very few people really went against that because, okay, and those in my time and even before my time, your contract, like when I was a 12th player picked in the whole draft, I got a $50,000 bonus and my $26,000 my first year, 28 my second, and was going to make 32 my third until I held out. But the players thought that the playoff money was the money you were able to save and put away. So they didn't tolerate anybody coming in making mistakes, doing stupid thing or doing anything to disrupt the continuity of the team. And we had a bunch of great guys to follow.
That's interesting, Chuck. Just living by those, specific guidelines and, the old school formula, meaning, one brother's responsible for another just makes a difference.
Exactly.
It's kind of funny because, I kind of grew up in the last of Mohicans. I played, professional baseball in the major league, but it was back in the 90s, when there was transitioning to like these corporations taking over family business. So it actually made more money, right?
Right.
So you saw really a unique change, within how organizations picked and selected different players.
Right.
Did you find that as same in the transition going from the 70s, 80s
Oh yeah,
for
you can see
black
that.
NFL players?
I think I was seeing where I don't know, somebody said keep quiet and just play the game. Back in my time, you better keep quiet and play the game. Otherwise, you find yourself going someplace else. No doubt about it. And today, athletes are, especially in basketball, probably more so in football and baseball too. I don't know much about hockey, but the guys are more able to express themselves and having some control over where they go, who they play with, and things like that. Only because of the money. I mean, back in my time, they held that over. If you held out, you knew that you better have your degree, you better be able to go get a job somewhere because you had to pay the bills. Whereas I think, except for basketball and baseball especially, they have really strong unions, and that's why they have better benefit package for their alumni than we have. I mean, we got some guys out there that can't even the pension's not even worth talking about. Like I remember we were negotiating a contract with the Vikings, my attorney and I, and his name was the general manager at the time was Mike Lynn, and we were negotiating. It was like after one of my MVP seasons, and so I wanted a new contract, and he was negotiating with us. But then when he was tired of negotiating with us, he said, "I tell you what, here's the deal." And we were like waiting. He says, "You can either take this money, or you can go get a job at the post office."
Wow.
Yeah, but guess what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Had I gone and worked to the post office, I would have had a better pension.
You,
Terrible.
That wasn't a bad idea.
Guys, I want to tell you a quick little story, and I've never told anybody this story, but Chuck, my representation when I played baseball was Jeff Morad,
Mm-hmm.
and and I don't know if you know who Jeff Morad, but his partner
Yeah, I know
was
the name.
Lee Steinberg.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Steinberg obviously had the most NFL quarterbacks, blah blah blah. So at the time, I'm coming down where Jeff is. I'm from Long Beach, going down to Newport because I was going to San Diego uh, to watch the World Series, New York Yankees and San Diego Padres play. So I was
Right.
going to the office. So I was hanging out in the office for a few hours talking to Jeff, and he just says, "Oh, I got a meeting." And he says, "Hey, you're gonna hit the road probably in about what 30, 40 minutes. Why don't you sit on this meeting with me?"
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Are you what?" I said, he said, "Yeah, check this out." He said, "Yeah, all these NFL bigwigs from the union, all these guys are coming in, and we're going to talk about, the NFL,
Right.
what you guys are going through, the pensions and all that stuff, right?" Man, what I heard, like in that office, was like, I feel sorry for like NFL players and what they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to do to you guys.
Oh
Um,
man, there was.
especially on a concussion protocol and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But how does your body feel? How do you feel, after playing like in the 70s, 80s? How is your body responding now?
Well, I've got a few little issues, ankles and things like that. I used to break people's ankles, and now mine feel like they're broken every day. But
Absolutely.
some of the stuff like that, you can feel it. But for me, I've had those types of issues, especially the last few years. But I'm healing. Thank goodness I'm healing. Actually, I had a doctor appointment yesterday. He told me I was healed up, really, healed up. I couldn't heal up better according to my doctor anyway. So I'm happy about that. So, but you know, I'm glad to see the NFL making some strides and taking care of the former players. Do I think it's enough? I don't think so. I think that the former players, especially, all right, for instance, um, you remember that? Do you remember the name Johnny Sample, John Mackey, people like that? Do you know those names?
Absolutely.
Matt,
Yeah. Oh, well,
Matt,
legendary football players,
no,
but very, very strong in our union at the beginning, even way before I got into the league. But I guarantee you this. I bet you if you mention those two names to 90% of the players today, they wouldn't even know who they are.
right.
And those two guys, plus several many, I'm sure I'm missing out on there, and many others, sacrificed their careers to establish that union so that the NFL players could be where they are today. And it's unfortunate that when I look at and I hear some of the comments some of these younger players are making, they have no clue as to the sacrifices that was made so that they could be where they are today. And when I see guys like, I won't mention the name, one of the get quarterbacks said, well, they should have invested their money. I'm like, wait a minute, what money was there to invest? You know, you knew for the most part that you better come in with a degree or you better have something to do when you're done playing football. When I came out of the league, you could probably save some money, get your house, and do all that stuff. But you knew, there were very few people that had the contracts that were like they are today, like generational contracts for your family, like they have today. So those are the things I think about when it comes to the game of football. That the people that made the sacrifice, most of them aren't even here any longer, but they gave up so much. I mean, their careers. I mean, they were done, because they supported the union. So, these guys, when I see guys out there, oh, oh, we don't need to give them anything. They play, they're over with. Whoa, whoa, whoa. My whole thing, hey, man, those guys sacrificed for you. You're supposed to give them a piece of at least a small piece of whatever you're getting. But we got a little bump this year, but I don't think it's anywhere near where it should be.
Chuck, Chuck, I want to read this comment from one of our guys that's a Fox analyst. He says John Mackey headed up the lawsuit for the pre 65 players who had
Right.
zero zilch from the NFL. and the owners. That lawsuit helped a little bit, so much more to be done still. Is that, I mean, is it still happening, or they put it on the back burner?
I think there's a lot more that could happen and should happen. There's some things that they do have put in place that help, former players but when I look at it, I guess we only have to blame ourselves. Because when you look at baseball, basketball, and hockey, their pensions for players when they get to be 55, and they're not worrying about anything, But when you look at the NFL players, you have so many guys that are really in financial straits, because, the game hasn't been fair to them later on in life. So, yeah, there's a lot to be done. There's a lot that could be done. So, but I'm appreciative of some of the things that, Andre Collins has done to help. And there's other guys in there that are trying to do. But, it's just like so many guys, that don't have the appreciation or know the history like they should. Otherwise, they would certainly be in favor of, giving the former players a better pension.
Well, let me ask you this, Chuck. What's one piece of advice then? I mean, I know it's kind of hard to say because a lot of these young guys that are coming out of college are getting paid, big money. I mean, obviously you saw Mo,
Right.
close upwards of $500 million for a 10-year contract, and I think 140 of it is guaranteed. What do you say to these guys?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that you got paid. Just remember who helped you get paid, and support all the things that they need. Especially the health benefits and things like that they need later on in life to help them get through. And that's, I mean, I don't expect them to take care of me forever. I mean, I did a job to take care of myself, but I'm just saying that remember I was mentioning the word generational money.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are making generational money. And I was someplace that somebody was talking to me about, well, they can take the money and invest it. I'm like, first of all, if I got that kind of money, I'm not investing in anything. I'm taking my 3.5% and I'm living good the rest of my life. I'm not taking any gambles with it. There's no need to. That's my way of thinking. But that's the kind of money that they make now, and those guys can make that decision, and they can choose to leave early. Calvin Johnson, the guy that played with Detroit, he finally, he said, "Okay, I got enough. I'm out." But they have that leverage now where they can do that. Whereas, in my time, guys, man, they, back in the day, they take those needles about that long, stick them in them, and get them to go through and play a game. But, they play that one game, but they're pretty much done to do that. So, yeah, it's a lot of things that guys would do to prolong their careers in order to continue to play. I mean, just crazy stuff.
So it's fair to say, and I'm going to bring this back to Dante and Joe after this. It's fair to say that the guys that in your era played for the love of the game, and you're talking about the needles this long. You know what? They get shot up and go play because they wanted it, and it wasn't being and I'm not going to say sissy because I don't think being a sissy is in any way playing football, but they wanted to play.
Well, yeah. Now, I'm not saying all the guys did that. Now, I remember I had a separated sternum, and they wanted, and it hurt like heck. Believe me, because of the way I used to run, and was going into the playoff time, and I remember a couple of the guys came to me and said, "Look, we're gonna need you to, you got to come out and you got to suck it up." And I'm like, I ain't worrying about sucking it up. He ain't putting that needle in my chest.
I would have been the same way. Don't give me the needle.
No. I said, look. You're not putting that. They're not numbing me up. I'm gonna feel the pain. So what I ended up doing is they pushed me together like that, and then they wrapped it up tight to keep it in place, right? And then, the way I used to run, I knew I was going to hurt a little bit. But I can tell you one thing, that playoff time, we got to the Super Bowl, by the way, that playoff period, I had some of my best playoff games because let me tell you, I didn't want anybody touching me. So I was doing things I wouldn't think normally do, believe me. But it did hurt a little bit.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. It must have been so painful. Can you tell me about where your passion for football came from? I know that you played high school basketball and track as well. And I also read that you played trumpet.
Well, man, I played the trumpet back. I wasn't any good. I guess I was all right. But that was back in junior high school. But then sports took us. They had a little band in my neighborhood. One of my mother's friends, he was a great musician, and he had a lot of the young kids playing. We taught us how to play musical instruments, and then they had this little play or something every year, and that's Thanksgiving or whatever you had to do. But yeah, that was just a temporary thing. And then I got into the sports, and then, of course, in Maryland, where I'm from, in Baltimore, Washington area, basketball was king. And then, we had a lot of great athletes in my neighborhood. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we had 5 Olympians come out of my neighborhood. We had a lot of great athletes that you never heard of that could have been, but back in those days they didn't have the opportunity. And plus, in those days, most guys, when they came out of high school, they were going to the all black colleges for the most part. Even when I went to the University of Miami, I was like the 3rd black athlete down there. There was a guy named Ray Bellamy that came in, then Tom Sullivan. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles. You probably remember him. He was pretty good over there. And then Burgess Owens and myself, and then all of a sudden the floodgates opened. Miami was never the same.
I love it. So go ahead, Dante.
No, I love the story. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I was just going to ask where the nickname Scorpio came from.
Oh, I was born in October, and that's where you've been doing some research. That goes back to my high school. When I played basketball back in those days, they used to call us, I don't know, by your sign, But Scorpio, I guess I'm a true Scorpion too, so that might not be good. So anyway, I was definitely true to that nickname.
First of all, I want to tell Dante, give me 1 second. I want to tell everybody thank you again for listening. We got a lot of comments that we'll get to, so don't think that we're ignoring the people that are listening live on Facebook and our stream platform. The great Chuck Foreman. I'm going to bring it to Dante here. Dante, fire away, my friend.
Hey, Chuck, did I hear that you said you grew up in Maryland?
Yeah, a place called Frederick, Maryland. And I tell you, a great neighborhood, great community. And like I said, we had a lot of great athletes that I grew up to admire, some great basketball players, and back when black schools were just starting to integrate, because they just integrated like 2 years prior to me getting into high school. And that's when I went normally I would have went to this place called Lincoln High School. That was all black school then, but then they integrated, and then I went to the school called West Frederick Junior High School, and then on to a place called Frederick High School, where we had some great teams there and coaches.
That's funny that you say that because people don't know. And, we had a guest on not too long ago, and we were talking about the same thing, just how rich, Maryland is with athletes, basketball, football, and even guys you've never heard about. But there's a ton of NBA players that have come out, just this little small state, of Maryland. And, there's teams that come from Florida, they come from New York, Texas, Ohio, California, and they try to go to Maryland and beat these guys. And, they have another thing coming. So
that's right.
Much homage and much respect, just kind of like Long Beach. We got a lot of guys out there too. So,
Yeah,
Much respect for Maryland. Absolutely.
no doubt about it. We do and have great athletes come out there all the time. And, I got to tell people, I mean, when I played for the Vikings, for instance,
Mhm.
and even when I played at Miami, now there's a lot of guys in the neighborhood that had the opportunity but didn't take advantage of it.
Right.
But let me tell you, in my neighborhood, where I grew up, they had some guys that they had other plans, and it wasn't college. Let's put it that way.
Right.
But some of the greatest athletes that you never heard of. That
Absolutely.
if the guys in my neighborhood went to the University of Miami, we probably would have won the national championship. Now that's how good they were.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. What are you doing for yourself now, Chuck? You got a lot of,
Well, right now I'm doing well. I teach. This year I didn't do anything because I wasn't going. My protocol is a lot tougher than the protocols that they ask you to do. So, so this year, and actually I didn't teach much. I think I went in maybe one day, and that's it. But I've got other things going. Plus, I'm in a good place. So I'm very, very lucky to be in that place. And I got a great family, got a kind of blended family too, so it's all great. I can't complain one bit. Like I said, I don't think it can get any better.
you look great.
Well, I'm trying to hang in there.
Yeah, you look great.
You do look great. Hey guys, I want to send out a couple shout outs again to the guys that are listening to the show. Again, the great Chuck Foreman. But we got some questions out here from our audience and our viewers. A couple of them are one is asked wants to know, Chuck, what was it like playing with quarterback Bob Lee, the backup? How was that when you were playing?
Well, Bobby Lee was one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And he's very talented too, because we got him from the Atlanta Falcons. And Bob didn't lack in confidence. Let me put it to you that way. He was always prepared. My friend went down. He came in and did his job and did it admirably. And so, he was one of my favorite people. He was just I got lucky to get with the Vikings. They had a lot of really good people on that team and great leadership. No doubt about it. Bob was one of them.
Another one that we had here is he wants to know what was it like. I'm going to put it up here so that way he sees it. So what was the difference in playing between Tarkinen and Tommy Kramer?
Well, I only got to play with Tommy a little bit, but let's put it like this. How can I put it? Fran was the man when I was here for the most part. Tommy Kramer came in here. And he had that young, strong arm, very confident guy. I didn't get to play with him when he was on his game, but Tommy Kramer could play the game. But Fran Tarkenton, I'm going with Fran.
You know what? I think a lot of people would on that one. Dante, what do you think of that?
Yeah, Fran. But I'm thinking about this. There's a guy that's come out of your organization, that two of them that I think, obviously Hall of Famers they are, that I love to watch. And one was the last with Mr. Carter and Mr. Moss.
Yeah, certainly Randy and Chris Carter were certainly two of the best receivers ever played here, no doubt about it. But, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from those two guys. They're phenomenal players. But yeah, I played with some phenomenal receivers too. Sammy White, Amar Rashad, John Gilliam.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything. Those guys in the Hall of Fame, no doubt, and they deserve to be there. But I have to look back at the players that I played with and the types of and the things that they had to do to get open. It was like for instance, guys, you had to be able to run a beautiful route to get open back in those days. You had to be able to come off the ball, get rid of that cornerback if you could, if he didn't get his hands on you. Then you had to run your pattern and to get yourself open. And I used to watch Paul Warfield when I was at the University of Miami. We went out to watch him practice, and even though we had Samuel White, John Gilliam, and people like that. I felt Marbushai could run it too. But I used to go over there and watch Paul Warfield. That's the only man alive that I know. You can put a zone on him, he beat the zone because he ran a pass route. Any one of them you called, nobody could stop him. And that's true. That's true as I'm sitting here talking to you. That was beauty to watch.
I think the one thing that I love to watch about Chris Carter, I think I love to watch his toughness. You know, a lot of his perseverance. I know he went through some tough, challenging times. You know, probably statues like you behind the scenes were, you know, there to put your arms around him. But, you know, with that being said, you know, just his toughness on the field, his grit, winning attitude to get, you know, to get things done. And I think that was something that just resonated throughout the organization, you know, through his time, and especially when Randy Moss came up.
Well, I just know that, you know, Chris and Randy, two different types of receivers. Certainly, Chris was one of the best ever come through here, no doubt about it. And Randy, too. And they both are deserving of all their accolades and things like that. And, you know, Chris, you know, like you said, he was there when he needed to be. And he certainly could play in any era. You know, he definitely played. He played with attitude. So, you know, when he came out there, he came physically ready, mentally ready, and he certainly let you know he was ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey Chuck, I got a quick question for you. You know, we've had numerous running backs on, Eric Dickerson and Derek McAdoo and all these guys. And one of the questions I've always asked them is when you played, was there someone that you feared as a fullback or running back, or you said, you know what, I don't care, I'm going out there to do the job?
No, it wasn't anybody I feared, no doubt about that. I can tell that to you straight up. There was a lot of guys that were challenging, no doubt, talent wise, and some were physical, some were athletic. And, you know, from my perspective, the way I looked at it, you know, I was a combination of all of it. So you came at me, I'm definitely not going to quit, and I'm coming at you. So it you know, we had just a lot of, man, let me tell you, some guys that I remember playing against. Is like, you know you're going to be it's going to be a long day, but you got to stay focused and do what you got to do to get the job done. But you remember Jack Ham played with Pittsburgh Steelers? Now, Jack Ham, to me, I mean, they had several guys on that defense, no doubt, that were great. But for me, as a runner receiver coming out of the backfield, you know, he was kind of difficult to get rid of. He was like a net, you know, he was always around. You know, he was always around. He was a tough guy. He's one of the guys that I remember. I'm like, damn, man, I put this on him. He's still there.
Right.
Yeah, he was good.
So I have a question. Looking back over your career, what would you say your greatest memory, your greatest accomplishment was?
Well, shoot. I guess the greatest accomplishment was just surviving that physical game like that. But you know, one of the things I think is like having a unique ability to adjust to all the things that came at me, you know, as far as the way they game planned you, whether they want to take a run away, you want to take your receiving away. You know, they did a little bit of everything to try to take me out of the game, but, you know, to make those adjustments during the course of the game. But I guess when we played, you know, first of all, getting to the playoffs, that's the toughest part, you know, getting there. And then when you get to the playoffs, it's a whole totally different game. And just all those games are pretty difficult to play in, and they're all memorable because everybody was bringing everything they had. Not that they didn't during the regular season, but in playoff time, like I said, in my time, you know, that playoff money was just savings money. So guys, that's how they looked at it. And they came and they came to play.
Yeah.
We got David Anderson out. He's a sports guru, 6'1", 210 out of Penn State. Jack Ham. That was the men out of Pittsburgh. I take it.
Yeah, Jack Ham was. They all those linebackers were really good. But Jack Ham was the guy that I usually had to go up against because he was outside linebacker. And of course, I'm coming out of the backfield. I was usually isolated on him. But it's not that I couldn't get rid of him. It was just that when I did get rid of him, he was still around. I mean, I'm like, come on, this guy can't be. But he was very savvy, very smart, athletic kind of guy. Yeah, he was a guy I played against that gave me the most trouble.
He's like, I'm stepping on his chest all game, but we can't gain no yards.
I'm telling you, man, he was. I get away from him. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but he was savvy, man. Let me tell you, he was very savvy, very smart. Was always in the right place at the right time, and that's the guy that I remember giving me the most difficult time when I'm a receiver coming out of the backfield. I guess that's the part of the game I'm talking about. And that was a very vital part of my game. So yeah, I always remembered him like, man, I got to go against this guy again. This is like wasn't something I was looking forward to, was but always something that brought the best out of me. I can tell you that.
Chuck, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Don.
That made you special because there's not too many NFL fullbacks that can come out of the backfield and catch the football. What's the difference on a fullback that can do that?
Well, I'm not saying that there weren't any that couldn't do it, but I'm only saying that there were probably guys that could, but back in those days they didn't do it. Fortunately for me, I had a guy like Jerry Burns that said, okay, because whether you guys know it or not, when I was at the University of Miami in Florida, I played running back, I played wide receiver, I played cornerback. Now, when I played in all the All-Star games, all of them, I was the MVP in every one. Mm-hmm. Every one. I got the cars, I got everything. I got the money, the cars, everything. And I'm not just, but I'm just kind of, but when I got to Minnesota, Bud Grant and this gentleman named Jim Finks, he's the general manager at the time, they asked me where I wanted to play. Do you want to play corner, you want to play wide receiver, or you want to play running back? I chose running back. But I bet you I'm the last 12th pair picked to ever have that choice. Nice. To play any position I wanted to play.
Nice.
So that was one good thing about the University of Miami, is though I love my school and all, but that prepared me to being able to play all those different positions down there. Really separated me from most guys that were in that particular draft class. Yeah.
Chuck, I'm the jokester of the group here, so I'm going to ask you a question. I just want to kind of, because we've asked a few guys this, and they say things have been said. But when you're on the bottom of the pile and everybody just, you're getting tackled, mm-hmm. what kind of stuff was really said? I mean, when we're going generation of back when you were playing compared
to... well, there was a lot of, think about it. It was all said. And then all the things that they would try to do to you in the bottom, twist your knees, twist your ankles, do anything to you to get you out of the game. The language, of course, was X-rated, so it was interesting. So that's why I decided that, I'm going to be because I had one guy come to me and said to me, because, the way I used to run, he says, man, you keep running like that, you won't last in the NFL that long. And me, back in those days, I'd come back and say something like, well, if I run like you, I won't even be on the team. That was the kind of stuff I would say. I was like, people would say, Man, he's a little cakey. Cakey means cocky, but that's what they say. Yeah, he's a little cakey. That's what they say down south. You're a little cakey. I'm like, yeah, I might be a little cakey, but I always, hey, I knew what I could do, and then one of the things my father always used to tell me, because I used to call him when I was at the University of Miami and say, Dad, they moved me to another position. They moved me to cornerback. They moved me to running back. I was a tight end because I was a tight end defensive tackle going down there. They doing this and they doing that. And so he'd say to me, he says, look, let me tell you this, son. And number one, don't you call here no more with me. Call here anymore telling me nothing like that. I said, what do you mean? He said, you just get your butt out there and go be the best at everyone that you can be at. Now, don't call me anymore telling me and complain about what position they're switching you to. You got the talent. You go be the best at that position you can be at, and that's it. And I never called him again. I just went out to be the best.
There it is. Great story.
That's the way Billy Foreman used to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great story. See, we had old school dads that basically
man.
Say, go out there and
come home with nothing like that. Hey, I tell you this. So I'm at the University of Miami, and my father and mother are dropping me off. They drive me down. By the way, I almost didn't make it to the University of Miami because I was driving coming down through South Carolina. I got pulled over in a speeding ticket. And this state policeman pulled me over. My mother was in the front, my dad was sitting in the back. And he pulls me over and he says, boy, don't you know how fast you was going? And I'm looking at him. And I saw my mother over like, please, boy, keep your mouth shut. Please keep your mouth shut. I'm saying, well, first of all, boy plays on Tarzan, cheetah quit. That ain't my name, so don't call me that. S-H-I-T. You know what I mean? My mother looked at me, and that policeman looked at me, and I was like, my mother said, boy, we going to jail. Like, next thing you know, my dad snatches me from behind in the car, and he gets out the car and talks to the policeman. I don't know. My father was a Mason, but I don't know what they were doing. But their arms, I don't know what the heck was happening. But I got in the car. My dad threw me in the back seat and told me, "You sit back there, keep your mouth shut. Don't you say a word till we get to Miami." And then I get to Miami, and my father says to the Coach Charlie Tate, he was the head coach at the time. And he says, Coach, I didn't want my son to come down here to play school in the South. And he says, well, we're going to take care of him. He says, yeah, well, I'm going to put him in your hands, but know this. Then Coach Tate said, what's that? He says, now I'm putting him in your hands, and I want you to discipline him. But I also want you to know this. You don't want me to come back down here if he's not. If you don't take care of him right. And I'm like, oh, okay. But that was the way it went. And so I never had a problem at the University of Miami. It was a great decision. But my father set the tone for them to discipline me. And he let them also know that don't mess with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Hey, what was the best Miami team? Who do you think?
Well,
I know there was, arguments. Who's the best Miami team?
Well, you see, you got to remember, Miami was ranked in the top 20, 25 all the time before I got there. And somehow we had some great athletes, obviously, because we got a lot of guys drafted all of our team, 2 number ones, Burgess Owens and myself, and Mike Barnes, and we had a lot of other guys playing in the NFL. But, I guess are you talking about the teams of recent history? When Schnellenberger was there, because even back in the day, they had some great players, George Meyer, Ted Hendricks and all those guys were Jim Otto. You can keep going and going and going. But I don't know.
Urban era.
I think what happened with the University of Miami when the color barrier was broken. Right. And the University of Miami, went recruiting in their own neighborhoods. Oh, they didn't have to go but to Carroll City. They only had to go to Coconut Grove. They only had to go to Liberty City. They only had to go to Overtown. That's all they had to go to. And that's when they started keeping their hometown boys and their home city boys around. That's when they went to the national championships, and they brought all that talent in there. And that's when they were at their best. And I think what happened was when Miami started beating everybody up all around the country, and I think when they tried to disband the program, because let's face it, Miami is one of those towns that, it's like the Magic City. Those guys, people down there are, I mean, they love you, and you play hard, they're gonna be there to support you. But if you're not playing, they're going to the beach. So but they were able to keep the home players home. And then when they came in there, we're beating everybody, and then they put us on probation. And then all the northern schools started coming in, taking all the guys that Miami would normally get, and then they kind of got a little bit of, went on a, I don't know what you want to call it. They weren't winning as much, but I think they're back on track.
Yeah. Florida has some of the best talent out there, so that's a really huge recruiting ground in your backyard. Sure.
Yeah, they do. The Florida, Texas, they're deep.
Yeah, very deep.
Hey guys, we got about 10. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry. We got about 10 minutes. I'm going to interrupt real quick just to let everybody know. We've got about 10 minutes. Got about 20-some people that are out there listening, live streaming on Facebook, Stables Media, the great Chuck Foreman. Joe, go ahead, ask questions away. I'm enjoying this. I truly am. I'm going to enjoy listening back on this. This is an honor. Go ahead.
It's an absolute honor. I wanted to talk to you about your marketing your brand again. I wanted to hear, what kind of fans are you getting? Are you getting newer, younger fans, or are you finding it's the older generational fans?
Well, believe it or not, all right, first of all, my kids were telling me to do this for years, Then I ran into a guy named Ben Tice that I do business with, this thing called See a Star, and that's like a virtual thing where you can go on and you can get any athlete to come in for a birthday party, or want to talk to them about a football game, whatever, as long as you keep it so it's not X-rated kind of stuff. But anyway, then I met him, and he said, "Why don't you have a store?" And this is like, what is it called? Cyber Monday, is it called?
Yeah.
Okay, so I said, well, I don't know. My kids kept saying, "Dad, do it. Let's see where it goes." And this turtle happens. I said, all right, let's run with it. And so that's how I got started. But I went from like 100 people, like, I guess, following me. I don't know, because I never really went on social media that much at all. And so I'm still really learning that thing. And so it's been really, really good. And then, like you said, most of the people are the younger people, like, that know. I'm like, how the heck they know who I am? But they know their sports, and they, because they can go back and follow you and do everything. And so it's been an interesting journey from that aspect. But yeah, it's been surprisingly, it's enjoyable. And I'm meeting, there's a lot of people out there, like, I'm like, okay. And I'm getting all these things. Oh, you were a bad old dude. All kinds of stuff that I'm getting, but but they get in there. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of young people, a lot of course, people that knew when I played. And so yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if it's a remarketing. I never really marketed myself, to be quite honest with you, but it's been a fun journey, like I said, and it's kind of like, it's getting better and better and interesting. I get a lot of requests from a lot of people, and for a lot of different reasons, and it's been enjoyable, for no doubt about it.
Absolutely. It's been an honor to have you here as a guest, Chuck. Just keeping it real. That's what we love about RPM.
Yeah.
With Tony and Joe. Every week we try to come get great guests like yourself. Talk about real issues, real topics, present, past, and future. I know we got a couple of games coming up this weekend.
Right.
With Brady and you know, that other guy on the other side from
Green
Green
Bay.
Bay.
Yeah.
What do you feel about this weekend's football?
Well, let me tell you about these two guys. You know, now I've watched a lot of both of those guys, and let me tell you the reason why. I think they're well liked about their within the whole team. I think they are unselfish. I think they leave Brady and Rogers. I think when they get paid, they always want to leave a little something for the guys around. I think you can see that in the way these guys play with them and are dialed into everything that they do. And so those are two of my favorite players. And so it's going to be interesting to see them come up against each other this week. Of course, Brady got the 6 rings, and Aaron's got one, looking for a second. But you know, it's going to be one of those games. That's going to be one game I'm watching. Now I see Tampa Bay has improved, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks. Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. You know, now I won't tell many people about say this. Besides, when they don't play the Vikings, I kind of follow those guys. You know, so I hope the Vikings fans don't get mad at me, but you know, we've been searching for a quarterback like that for a long time since, you know, and so, but that guy is amazing, and Tom Brady's amazing. Of course, Drew Brees, he's out of it, but you know, to be 43, 42 years old and coming out there playing like that,
Yeah.
man, I'm like, well, I don't know what they're doing. I'm sure they take care of themselves and all that, but it's going to be one game I'm not going to miss. Where they got 80 years between them in the NFL, or I mean, 80 years of age between them, or something like that. I don't know what it is, but
Well,
man,
that's one half. Now you got the other with the young kids, Allen and Mahomes. That's going to be
yeah.
interesting.
Now
What do you got?
that's still now that's still
That's the
those
young
two
blood.
guys are going to be. Those are games I'm not going to miss either. So the matchups are great. You know, I'm sure Mahomes would be ready because I was happy to see him get out and run in, and you know, when he had to go in for the protocol. But then too, I like their backup that Chad Henning came in there. Henning came in there and did a great job, I thought. So, you know, in this game of football, you better have your two guys that can play and play at a high level. I think Kansas City showed that. And so we'll see. Buffalo's got a nice young quarterback too. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two guys, you know, perform and in a pressure situation like this. Is for the Super Bowl to get into the Super Bowl. So I'm going to watch those two older guys for sure. And of course, Patrick Mahomes, how can you not watch him and Allen?
So we hold each other to our picks on this show. Who are you picking in those two games?
Oh man, why are you saying that? Okay, can I put it this way?
You try to wiggle out of it, you guys. We had to get it.
I ain't gonna wiggle out. I did play in New England for a year, right? And I just think Tom Brady is just one of those unique people. Forget the football part. And then I think of him that way. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers isn't, but he's one hell of a football player. But I want Tampa Bay to win. Okay. But I think Green Bay's going to win.
I got you.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
All right. What's your other
because of the weather.
Yeah, the weather. They both are in cold weather. Well, right. Actually, no. Tampa Bay's not in cold weather. They're coming to cold weather.
Right, but then Brady's played in a lot of cold weather, so
there you go.
That's the key. So it's going to be an interesting game. But it reminds me of when we used to play the Los Angeles Rams. Playoff time, we get to the NFC Championship, and it always would be the Vikings against the Rams, and we'd have them up here in the cold weather, and we pull it off and win the game. Then we go to the LA the one time, and we're supposed to lose, and the weather gets bad, and we beat them in the mud. So is it being able to play in the elements is it's a little different than playing inside.
That's true football.
Real quick, Buffalo's Chiefs. Who you got?
I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. I like it. I just everything about that guy. I like his dad played baseball up here, and Pat Mahomes. His father played up here, and I don't know. I just everything about that guy. I like. I think he's smart. I think he's unique in a lot of things that he does. I'm not taking anything away from the other guy, Josh Allen, but I'm going with Patrick Mahomes.
Comes from a baseball family. Me too.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's got that nice delivery.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got about 5 minutes here, guys, and we're going to shut it down. But I want to give the floor to Chuck. Tell us, Chuck, first of all, what you're doing. I know you mentioned about the marketing stuff, how we can get a hold of you, how we can help you out as
okay.
Here.
Well,
go ahead.
If you want to do the memorabilia thing, that's the chuckforeman44.com. You can go to that site and I'll take you to the store. That's one part of what I'm doing. But you can go to See a Star, and you can if you have anything like a birthday party, you want to talk about the football game. I'm talking about a personal hookup. Because of the COVID thing, we can do that too. Just like you and I are talking, or we're talking here on this right now, we can do that through See a Star. You can go on there and schedule to come on there, and I can come right into your house or wherever you want me to be. I'm doing that because I'm, like I told you before, they got a protocol. I don't leave the house if I don't have to. So I'm kind of trying to, every day for me, it's a challenge to keep busy within these confines. I might go out a little bit in the car just to get out of the house, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm pretty, like I said, we are, what can I say? I'm actually putting my man cave together too, by the way.
There you go.
I'm doing that a little bit. I'll send you guys some pictures of it as I'm getting, but I'm starting it now. So I'm kind of redoing because we bought a new place. So I'm kind of getting that together. So I'm interested. I'm just redoing everything like that. So got some projects around the house that I'm doing, so I'm busy. And I'm happy.
Chuck, that's the key right there. I want to bring it around. Joe, you know how the routine, we're going to bring it around and then we'll go back to Chuck, say our thanks, and then we'll give our final thought. Get it away, Joe.
Absolutely. Well, Chuck, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. It's an honor. I'm definitely going to be checking out your store because I too have a man cave and I would love a picture in your man cave. It's all mine. So it's an absolute honor.
All you gotta do is just send me your stuff. You can just, I'll send you something for sure.
Well, thank you. So if you guys are looking to reach me, you can reach me on all social media platforms at the Joe Madden. So Chuck, again, thank you so much, and I can't wait to connect with you again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Dante.
Hey man, I'm lost for words.
Me too. Hey, me too, man. Man cave, the whole deal. Go ahead.
Hey man, look, man cave it is. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, but I'm so great.
And I tell you this, palsportsapparel.com is where you can come and see me. We have some fabulous new items. We have a membership program that's coming, something that's great. Go ahead and hit it up, subscribe at BBYCB at palsportsapparel.com. That's where you can reach me. The contacts, my telephone number. I'm also on the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram. Say hello. Chuck, man, it was absolutely fabulous to have you on the show today. An honor. Great talk. I definitely will be hitting you up. We definitely have membership programs and things that we're doing to help our kids in our community. I'm sure you would like to be.
I'd be more than happy to contribute to that. No question about it. And I'm looking for. Hey, this has been a great. This has been great for me. It's been a great hour. So, but you guys, I got to talk to you. When the Super Bowl comes, you got to at least call me for 5 minutes.
Well, here's
Let me give you my thoughts about that.
We'll make a note for Super Bowl. We'll get Chuck on for 15, 20 minutes on the show before the Super Bowl, and we'll get him back on. Chuck, you're always welcome. You've got my number. I'll be in touch with you. You can sit there. This is what we want to do, man. We want to sit there and try to bring, the memories back. A lot of people, like you said, you got a lot of the younger generation looking at you. There's a lot of people that love you. I just want to ask you one last question before I give you my final thought here.
Okay.
What is the legacy that you want to leave for the people, for the people that watched you, for the kids that are coming up that see your videos and what you've done for football?
The only thing I'm going to say is this, man. Be true to yourself. There'll be obstacles ahead, but, stay on the high road and keep the faith in with all in yourself, and you'll be just fine. So, I guess that's what I'd like to leave behind. The fact that I'm just a real person. When I say real, let me clarify that. Hey, I'm just me. I'm appreciative of all the things I've been able to do, but I'm just Chucky Foreman from Frederick, Maryland. So you can get Chucky Foreman at chuckforeman44.com and, go from there, social media and everything. But I'm just extremely, extremely privileged to be here with you. Believe me, I really feel like that.
Chuck, the privilege has been all ours. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. Guys, you've been listening to Stables Media, So.Cal Smackdown with Team RPM, myself, Tony Russo, the great Dante Powell, the lovely Joe Madden, and special guest of honor, Chuck Foreman. We're going to have him back. Do you want to get a hold of me? At TRusso64. Like I said, I don't hide from anybody. Facebook, Tony Russo. Bill Collector, whoever they want, they can call me, man. They got my number too. They call me too, Dante. How'd you get my number? A couple promos.
Bill Collector pizzas.
No, I played at the University of Miami with a guy by the name of Tony Russo. He was from New Jersey, Philadelphia area.
Yeah, we've got. I'm from Connecticut.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
Hey, we with it.
I want to give a couple shout outs to our for promos for our shows. We've got a great new show coming on, Hustle and Grind, February 1st. Time to be announced. The great Joe Madden, Lisa Diaz, and Cam Parks. Cammy P. I'm sorry, he's going to be doing that. Freedom to Rock Friday tomorrow, 5 p.m. Chuck, we might even have you on that show, man. We got a lot of people that love you, and they sit there. And I've got a lot of these guys. We're gonna invite you on anytime you want to come on, buddy. Anytime.
All you got to just call me, text me, do whatever you want. I'm here.
You got it, buddy. I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna give my final thoughts here, guys. We talk about this every week. In life, accomplishments are made. People do great things. Money is great. Having cars are great. But when it comes to a single thing, it's a legacy that you're sealed by. And that's why I asked Chuck this question, and he hit it right on the dot. It's all right. We'll get the phone call after. Hey, I'm not calling you, Dante.
My bad.
No worries, man. So going back to what I'm saying, the legacy that you leave, it's the act of kindness that we're able to sit there and share to people. So what we're going through in this world right now, we probably won't ever see. Well, I'm not going to say we probably won't. We probably won't ever see it again, but maybe our kids or our grandkids might. So, but what we can do is we can leave a thought to them is that if you're kind and you can help someone out and you have the opportunity to do so, do it. It's not about money. It's about picking up the phone, seeing how someone is, if they're feeling okay. Sometimes that can make the difference. So that being said, guys, thank you very much. I love you guys all. Joe, Dante, Chuck, we appreciate it. Have a wonderful night to all our listeners out there. It'll be on our Facebook page. Have a wonderful night. Take care of each other, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right.